Welcome into the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast, episode
99.999.
Yeah, this is like the 99th episode. We're just going to keep it going until we figure out a good 100th episode.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. We're over 100 actual episodes, but we're never going to call it that until we have a fun 100th show. Got a ton to break down today. College football. We were looking for some chaos. The only real chaos we got was my Texas Longhorns taking down the undefeated Texas A&M Aggies by double digits. That threw a wrench in the seeding, but it seemed that every team on the brink of making the playoffs or who would be out with a loss found a way to win on Saturday. So we'll break down kind of what the playoff picture looks like. We'll preview some of the conference championship games. We'll dive into the NFL as well. How about the Dallas Cowboys? 3 straight wins.
Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, your Dallas Cowboys beat the 2 Super Bowl finalists last year. 2 teams who made the Super Bowl beat them in a span of 4 days back to back. Eagles and Chiefs. They're back in the playoff hunt. So now we actually can talk about the Cowboys in a meaningful way and not just how terrible they are.
Let's not get carried away here.
Well, they're 6-5, buddy.
As soon as we start giving them credit, they're 6-5-1.
Same thing. Look, all I'll say is this. Through like 5 games, I thought we might win 3 games the whole season.
Yeah.
And now they're,
maybe Jerry's just a genius, That's what's going on. We're all a bunch of fucking idiots, and Jerry's playing a crazy game of chess against himself. And
Jerry's playing chess. We're all playing checkers, but I do think Jerry's going to make an appearance on the show soon. Maybe not today, but we're going to have him on again soon. We haven't had him on in a while.
It's been a while.
Okay, before we dive into all of that, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, please. Helps us out. Like the video if you enjoy our comment. If you enjoy our content, comment below as well. Follow us on social media. Okay, gonna have one bad beat here in the NFL, and it came last night. Okay, it came in the Sunday night football game. The Broncos are laying 5.5 here. Okay, so they're laying 5.5 against the Commanders. We're in Washington. We're in overtime. It's 20-20 after the Commanders tied it late. Broncos got the ball first. Remember, in new overtime, both teams get a chance to possess no matter what happens. Here on 2nd and 4 from the 5-yard line, R.J. Harvey going to run it in and put the Broncos up 6. And now you're covering, right? So, who was the right side the whole way? Not sure. Could have gone either way. Probably lucky to be alive getting to overtime here, but they knock in the extra points, 27-20. We're going to fast forward here. 3rd down and 6 on the ensuing drive. Commanders have to have a touchdown to extend the game, and Jahdae Barron jumps Mariota's throw here, and it should have been intercepted. Instead, it's incomplete. It's going to bring up a 4th down and 6. So if you get a stop here with the Broncos, the game is over. Mariota back to throw. Nick Bonito, the best pass rusher in the league, has him. 2 guys have him. 3 guys have him, and he throws it up. It's intercepted, and Mike Tirico gave him the kiss of death and said, game over. And as he said that, Chris Collinsworth said, wait. There is a flag because Hufanga, the safety on the back end, made contact with the receiver who was not going to get a first down even if he caught it. And what looked like a sure sack and then an interception turns into an automatic first down. Hufanga can hoofuck himself because he cost me my pick'em this week. Yeah, it's your bad, buddy. Who else bad would it be? So in next series, 3rd and 4 from the 30, Mariota under pressure, throwing it deep, finds Terry McLaurin in the end zone, and we are a point after away from being tied. But again, there's a flag down. And this time
the flag guy at NBC must have fallen asleep.
It was late.
Usually they put them up right away. There's late flags going up on the board there.
Yep. And that hold's going to negate the touchdown. So now we have a 3rd and 14. And another chance for you to get a stop and possibly win the game. And Mariota's going to go deep, and he's going to find Deebo Samuel down the right side. Riley Moss, the much maligned Riley Moss, the cornerback for the Broncos, who's been burned all year, gets burned down the sideline. But he saves the touchdown. So now it's 1st and goal from the 2. And they're going to hand it off to McNichols. He's stuffed on 1st down, loses 1.5 yards. 2nd and goal now from the 3.5-yard line. They're going to fake the handoff to McNichols. Mariota's going to fire high, incomplete. And now it looked like you might lose. But again, you're still holding on, and it's 3rd down and goal. Can you get a stop and force it back to one play? Mariota back to throw on 3rd and goal. Launches it. Ertz has him open, and he drops it in the end zone. It was right in his hands. Hufanga did the sword like he made an actual stop there, but it was a horrible coverage, and Ertz just dropped the touchdown, and it sets up one play. If you get a stop here, you're going to win this bet at -5.5. It's 4th and goal. The best defense in the league. One stop, and you win. They're going to bring a blitz, and Mariota's going to fire it to guess who? Scary Terry again. And what happened a couple plays ago happens again, and they score a touchdown. So now you need them to kick the extra point to have any chance, but of course they're not. They're 3-8. They're going for 2. And so now you've lost no matter what at this point.
Yeah, you definitely go for 2 here because next score wins.
Next score wins, and here's the problem. Now you're rooting against the Broncos because you're like, fuck them for costing me my bet. And they actually have a beautiful play drawn up. Cliff Kingsbury had a great play for a blitz coming, but Nick Bonito gets his hands up and blocks the pass down, and the Commanders lose the game. If you look back at the tape there, they had McNichols absolutely wide in for a walk-in touchdown, and all Marcus Mariota had to do was lay it up out there, and he threw it right into Nick Bonito's hands, and your Denver Broncos -5.5 ticket is dead. Now, were they the right side in that one throughout the game? I don't know. It's probably 50-50 throughout. They led by 6 a lot of the game. Then they were down 1. It was going back and forth. But when you get into a 4th down and 6 and you have Mariota sacked and get called for the PI and then get him into a 4th and goal again, that was kind of a tough one to swallow if you had the Broncos -5.5. A lot of ups and downs in that one. Not a ton of bad beats this
Broncos keep finding ways to win games. They're not, I think they're the classic team that if they get the bye, these are 10-2. I will make up, depending on, I will say I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Broncos do not win a playoff game.
I agree.
Whether that's a bye or first round, I don't think they'll win. I just don't. The way they're winning these games, they're finding ways to do it right now. I don't know if it's going to hold up in the playoffs.
We can dive into the NFL from here, and we can start with the Broncos, and I agree with you. So far this season, right, their 2 losses came in weeks 2 and 3. They actually started 1-2. They've now won 9 straight. That loss in week 2 came at the Colts by 1. The loss against the Chargers... I'm sorry, the loss against the Colts, they actually won the game. There was a missed field goal by the Colts as time expired, and then a penalty for leaping gave the Colts a second chance.
Right.
They knocked in that field goal. They very well could be 10-1 or 11-1. The week 3 game against the Chargers, they were just beat by a team who outplayed them. But looking at the remainder of their schedule, they go to Las Vegas next week. That's very likely a win. Then home against the Packers, home against the Jags, at the Chiefs versus the Chargers. So not the easiest schedule down the stretch. That's 3, maybe 4 playoff teams, right? I would say either the Chiefs or the Chargers. The Jags or the Chargers. The Jags or the Chiefs, probably one of those 2 get in. I think the Chargers will get in. The Packers are obviously a playoff team. So we'll see how it plays out. Looking at the standings here, though, do you think that the Broncos are going to hold on to the number 1 overall seed? Currently, the AFC... The Patriots are 10-2. I believe if the Patriots win tonight, they jump the Broncos because they haven't had their bye.
Patriots have won 9 in a row, too. I didn't realize that.
Yep, the Patriots. And one of their losses, I believe, was to the worst team in football, which is the Las Vegas Raiders, week 1. Yep. Lost to the Raiders week 1 in the Mike Tomlin-led Steelers. By the way, just so everybody knows, if this is breaking news to you, it's now been 3,242 days since Mike Tomlin's last playoff victory. Kudos to Mike. That's an impressive number. It's hard to do to go that long without winning a playoff game and keep your job. Congrats to Mike Tomlin. Let's keep the streak going. Let's keep it alive. Miss the playoffs again this year, baby. Even if they get in, they're not winning a playoff game anyway. So we're very likely.
They're not going to get in this year.
We're very likely.
It's going to be hard to go over 500. But it's Mike Tomlin. That's what he does. They're going to beat Miami. They're going to beat Cleveland. It's going to come down to they're going to have to steal a game against Baltimore or Detroit, which you wouldn't think they'd do it, but Mike Tomlin doesn't have losing seasons. There's one thing I know, and it's Mike does not have a losing season.
I'm feeling better and better about our bet as every game goes on. They look worse and worse. They've lost 3 of their last 4, and now they're going to Baltimore, and that's literally a must-win for the Ravens, who lost last week in embarrassing fashion to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, well, they looked horrible.
Let's talk about that division for a second, because I said this early in the year. You called me crazy. I heard, and I'm not going to say who because I don't actually like this guy, but I heard a big pundit.
Colin Coward.
No.
Stephen A. Smith.
No. I heard a big pundit today saying that John Harbaugh is kind of coaching for his job the rest of this season. I said I thought it would implode, and I thought either they would get rid of Harbaugh and or eventually get rid of Lamar Jackson. I think that Lamar is not a Super Bowl quarterback. He's a phenomenal regular season quarterback. He's a phenomenal talent. He's deservedly won an MVP. But this happens every year, and early on they had the embarrassing blown loss to the Bills week 1. They've obviously had injuries with Lamar going out, but they faltered even with Lamar back in the lineup. They've lost their last two games. They lost their last game after winning a bunch in a row against bad teams. They now sit 6-6. They lost 32-14 to the Bengals. I know Joe Burrow was back, but how do you put up 14 points against that Bengals defense?
They won 5 in a row since then, right?
They won 5 in a row. You said they were going to win 6 in a row, so no credit to you, by the way.
Oh, my God.
No credit to you. You said 6 in a row. They won 5. They beat the Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, and Jets. Okay, 32-14, blowout loss to the Bengals. Am I right? Is John Harbaugh on the hot seat here?
I don't think this year. I think they're going to win the division because the division's so bad. Might lose a playoff game, first round. And then next year, if they don't make a deep run, he'll get fired. But I can tell you, they'll get rid of John way before they get rid of Lamar. They're not going to get rid of Lamar.
I don't think so either, but I think
he's the face of that franchise. There's no one that's a GM that's going to make that decision to get rid of him.
I don't think so either, but I'm saying I think once John Harbaugh leaves, the identity of that Ravens team disappears with him, and I think in the coming years after, it just implodes, and eventually he's gone out of there and goes somewhere else. That's just what I said.
John will be gone first for sure.
No, he will.
I think
they have a pretty tough schedule the rest of the way. Steelers twice, Bengals, Patriots, and at the Packers.
Yeah, it is a pretty tough schedule.
It's not easy.
I just think that they're going to beat the Patriots at least once. It looks like they have the tiebreaker over them currently. They have them ranked ahead of them right now.
Wait, who's that?
The Ravens.
They only play them once. They only play Patriots once. You're talking about the Steelers. You said Patriots. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
My bad.
Steelers.
I knew what you meant.
6-6, 6-6.
You think they'll beat them at least once, and they'll have the tiebreaker over them after that?
Yeah, and they'll ultimately hold on to that. They may even be like an 8-9 division winner.
Very well could be. Very well could be. They haven't looked good. It's interesting. You're looking at the top. You look at the playoff standings right now. Look at the teams who were in the AFC and NFC championship game last year. The Chiefs, the Ravens, the Bills, or the last couple rounds. Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Lions, Commanders, Eagles. They are all down this year. It's weird, right? It's one of the weirder flips I've seen in the NFL. Those are kind of the 3 best teams in their respective conferences last year. And the Commanders are going to miss the playoffs. The Lions are currently right on the edge of missing the playoffs, right? The Eagles haven't looked nearly as good. The Chiefs are on the outside looking in. The Ravens are on the outside looking in. The Bills are the only team of that group who looks remotely close to what they were last year, and I don't think either of us think they're as good as they were last year. So it is very, very interesting, all of the turnover in terms of we've seen a rise of a lot of teams who are playing better. The Patriots, the Colts, the Texans are coming on here as of late. We can talk about them as well.
The defense is just so good. They're the best defense in the league by far.
They're incredible. It's incredible defense. They won multiple games with Davis Mills as their starting quarterback. CJ Stroud comes back. He played solid yesterday. They beat the Colts. Is it time to worry as a Colts fan, by the way?
Well, yeah, because I think they say Dimes has got a partially fractured fibula? Yeah, fibia.
Or one of those. Tibia, fibia, I don't know.
I think it's fibia. I think you're right. I didn't see a ton of that game yesterday. It looked like he was not running as much as usual, trying to protect that leg, I'm sure. With him them not having to account for his legs as much, I just, more of a one-dimensional team. And the Texans defense is just unbelievable. I think there was more of that, right? They're just really, really good.
And they were there the whole game. It's not like they got dominated, but they led against the Chiefs the whole way through, blew it, had a chance to win this game against the Texans, couldn't finish it off. They now, after being so good to start the season, they sit 8-4, and they're currently in the 6th spot. The Bills are in the last playoff spot right now at 8-4. Then the Texans are in the eighth spot at 7-5, and then it's Pittsburgh and Kansas City at 6-6 and 9-10. So, it's going to start getting dicey for Indianapolis here if they can't find ways to win games. They've lost 3 of their last 4, including back-to-back games. Huge game this weekend. They're at Jacksonville. That kind of feels like a must-win to right the ship here. If you lose that game on the road at Jacksonville, and I'm guessing it's going to be around to pick them. Jacksonville is kind of an up-and-down team, but if you lose that game on the road at Jacksonville, you fall to 8-5, and the next week you're going to Seattle, and you have the Niners at home. You're in big trouble there. That's in my opinion, a must-win if the Colts want to make the playoffs. And which is crazy because if you were sitting there holding a Colts make the playoffs ticket 2 weeks ago, you're like, I'm sitting pretty at 8-2, and all of a sudden, this is one of the. Would you agree with this? It's one of the weirder years in terms of the playoff picture, in terms of what record you're going to have to get in. I feel like in the last couple of years, 10 wins pretty much gets you in.
Yeah,
There's very few.
Now it might not.
And with 7,
there might be a 10-win team that misses.
Right. I think there's going to be a 10-win team that misses. I mean, I think they're saying the Chiefs are going to have to win out to get in the playoffs. It's getting really, really interesting. But what about the Chiefs? Chiefs fall to Dallas last week. We said if they lost to the Colts at home, that it was the end of this dynasty for sure. They found a way to win that game, and you said it last week on the show. Like, they just proved that they're not quite dead yet, but clearly there's an issue going on there. The team is older. When they had that little, they were not good to start the year, had that little uptick where everybody was like, okay, their record's not good, but they're playing better than anybody. They've gone right back and regressed. Losing to the Cowboys, even though the Cowboys are playing good, is just unacceptable on Thanksgiving. And it was a must-win. They're sitting there at 6-5,
right, and
they have to win that game, and they lose to Dallas. Couldn't get a stop. Couldn't score on Dallas's defense consistently. Cause for concern. Does Kansas City find their way into playoffs here?
I'm looking now. Houston, Chargers, Tennessee, Denver, Las Vegas. Look, Tennessee and Las Vegas are basically buys. So you have 3 games that you got to win. 2 out of 3. I mean, I think they can get to 10 wins. You know what I mean? I think they can win 4 out of 5.
I think they will win 4 at least. But I will, again, every game kind of is like, if they lose to the Texans this week, you're like, okay, we win out, we're maybe in.
Right.
It's just weird this early.
I would expect, like you said, Texans are playing really good ball. They're 3-3 away. Arrowhead's obviously a very tough place to play.
Prime
it's going to be cold.
Is that the Sunday night?
Sunday night
game?
Yeah. Cold and loud. It'll be a tough one, but yeah, like we said, the Texans defense is so good. And Kansas City's 5-1 at home. They just haven't been able to win on the road this year.
Did you see the line or no? Don't look at it if you have. What do you think it is?
KC by 3.
3.5.
Okay.
I'm surprised. I get it. Like I give the Texans credit. It opened 5.5. That might have been the look ahead line though before last week's outcomes. But yeah,
3.5's about right.
Well, you're just saying they're equal and neutral.
Yeah, most people are gonna back. And they probably are.
I would say the Chiefs are a 1-point favorite, but not much, not by much.
Yep.
So AFC. Who ends up getting the 1 seed at this point? Do you think the Broncos end up holding it? Do the Patriots? The Patriots have a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, the Patriots have a pretty easy schedule. I'm going to say the Patriots get it.
I think the Patriots find a way to get it too. Denver flirts with losing a lot more than New England does. New England's they haven't dominated every game, but they've won by margin more than Denver has. And their remaining schedule includes the Jets, Dolphins, and tonight the Giants. Their only 2 really tough games. They're going to get the Bills at home, which will be a huge game in 2 weeks, bless you, and then at the Ravens. So if they split those 2 games, they're going to finish 14-3. That's going to get them the 1 seed, and I believe they have the tiebreaker right now over Denver. I think, and the Broncos still got to play the Chiefs. The Broncos still have what do we say? The Jags, the Packers, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. Yeah, gonna likely be the Patriots getting the 1 seed. Let's look at the NFC as well real quick. Looking at the NFC, talking about on the other side, the Dallas Cowboys, right? Dallas comes into that game on Thanksgiving. Traditionally, they're kind of hit or miss on Thanksgiving. They either play really well or get the shit kicked out of them. Well, they played really well, and they beat the Chiefs 4 days after beating the Eagles. I legitimately thought that this is the Cowboys team that, after a big win, has a huge letdown. That's traditionally what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
This is a must-win for Kansas City. I backed Kansas City in that game in the first half. I backed them in the game. I took them live. I absolutely thought they're going to find a way to win.
Man, not backing your Cowboys is sickening.
Well, it's the way I look at it is that if I lose, I'm happy. So, it's a win-win for me. They're 6-5-1. They've won 3 straight. Like I said, beating both teams that reached the Super Bowl last year. They have a huge game in Detroit this week. They're going to Ford Field. Probably a must-win, right? I wouldn't say if you lose that game, you are going to have to win out to have any chance. But if you beat Detroit this week, all of a sudden, you look at the remaining schedule. Home versus the Vikings. Home versus the Chargers. At the Commanders. At the Giants. Those are 4 very winnable games. If you win in Detroit this week, and if I'm the biggest Detroit lover out there, they have looked horrible as of late. They have not looked like themselves. I know you were talking Frank Ragnow, their center.
Failed the physical.
Yeah, he was going to try to come back to help the offensive line, failed the physical, so he can't play this year now.
And more importantly, talking about all this, shout out Caleb Williams and the Bears, number 1 in the NFC. Big Dog called this years ago. Credit to Big Dog. Bailey knows Caleb is Big Dog's boy, and Dylan has cut him down week after week.
He's horrible.
And the Chicago Bears lead the NFC.
Well,
what a team.
Again, if you want to go by
Ryan Poles, genius.
Oh God. If you want to go by the team, yes, they're outperforming expectations. They will not be the number 1 seed. But if you're looking at the numbers, Caleb Williams is a bottom half quarterback in the NFL. He's a bottom half quarterback. He's in every statistical category, and his last 3 game-winning drives, he's completed 2 passes combined in those 2 games. All right, he's done absolutely nothing. So you can use all the bullshit stats. Oh, they have 5 game-winning drives. He hasn't completed it. He's done nothing. They've run the ball or had a kick return where they're already in field goal range, and he doesn't have to do anything. So yes, credit to Ben Johnson. He's done a phenomenal job. Credit to the Bears' run game. They lined up and ran it right down the throat of the Eagles last week. I mean,
yeah, I watched it. It was what the fuck is going on with the Eagles?
We're gonna come to them in a second.
It was like 9 yards a carry. It was like there was no one even around.
It was absolutely
some of the biggest holes I've ever seen.
No,
I got Big Dog all riled up here on the telephone. That's why Dylan's typing on his computer.
No, I'm not. I'm actually looking up the numbers of the rushing stats that Philadelphia have. It was the Bears ran it 47 times for 281 yards, and I believe I saw a statistic that it was the most yards ever run for between the tackles in the history of the NFL. It was 243 yards between the tackles. They ran it right up the gut every single time.
And I mean, just gaping holes. I was like, what are the Eagles doing? What is Fangio doing? Why can't they, and maybe that, I guess the Bears' run blocking has got to be definitely top 5 in the league, if not the best. I mean, those holes they were opening up were crazy.
They are.
The Eagles are in deep, deep shit.
Well, and this is what Ben Johnson did with the Detroit offense, and we've seen them struggle as he's left. They haven't been the same offense. Now, they don't have the same offensive line that they had when he was there, but the Bears don't have the best offensive line in football. They didn't last year, and now all of a sudden they look like one of the best offensive lines in the league. So clearly you got to give credit to Ben Johnson. I think he's a cocky little shit. I don't particularly love his attitude, but I think he's a heck of a ball coach, and he can sure call plays, and he's got this team rolling. Now, closing the season, their schedule is going to be much tougher than it's been. They get an easy one. I'm sorry, no. They go to Green Bay this week. I think that's a very likely loss. Then they get the Browns at home. They're going to probably win that one. And then it's Packers at home, at the 49ers, and home against the Lions. So they've got 4 really difficult games, 4 playoff teams in 5 weeks. We'll find out a lot about the Bears going forward. 2 weeks ago, I asked you who was likely of the division champs, division leaders to miss the playoffs, and you and I both agreed it was the Bears. Now, obviously, it looks like the Bucs.
Yeah, just the way they ran. Like I said, I haven't watched the Bears play much football at all this year. But then I watched that game on Friday, and I was like, man, oh man, they were just turning around and handing the ball off, and the Eagles were not even close to stopping them. I don't even think there were many third downs. So
they've had six wins by 1 score or less. Right. So
they played a lot of close games.
They're winning close games, and when you win close games, you're going to have a good record, right? They're 9-3. They started the season 0-2, and since then have won 9 of their last 10.
They're kind of like the Minnesota Vikings last year. No one really thinks they can win a Super Bowl. But
no one even thinks they can probably win a playoff game, to be honest, right? Could they win one? Yes, leaning on the run game. But look, Caleb Williams in that game against the Eagles, I turned it on. He didn't complete a pass the whole third quarter, right? And if we're being honest, you can say what you want. We can joke about Caleb Williams and my dad and everything. But the truth of the matter is he has about the best setup, the best, positioning of any quarterback in football. They have the best running game in the NFL. So every single play, the defense expects him to turn around and hand the ball off. He sets up play action better than anyone, right? He's got Rome Odunze. He's got, DJ Moore. He's got Colston Loveland, who's been a really good tight end. He has receivers all over the field, a good offensive line, and he's completing 58% of his passes. Okay, he's not a very good quarterback.
Gunslinger.
I truly believe this. This is not a hot take, and I think people react to how teams win. They actually remind me a lot of the Jacksonville Jaguars back in 2016, who, by the way, beat Mike Tomlin's Steelers when they had Blake Bortles and got to the AFC Championship game.
Best of all time.
That reminds me of what this is. You have a quarterback who is clearly not very good, playing good enough to help his team win because the rest of the team is that good and they're well coached. I don't see this ending well for the Bears, and my guess is next year when they don't have those close win luck factor, the way it evened out for the Chiefs this year, it's going to even out for the Bears next year. They're not going to win every close game. I have a feeling in 2 years we're going to see a new quarterback in Chicago. I don't think that's a hot take. I don't think Caleb Williams will be the starting quarterback for Chicago in 2 years. I believe that they will take a step back next year. They'll regress. He's not been good even in these games. He's not been a solid quarterback. He's been okay. And I just don't believe he's that good. I think I've seen him play. He holds onto the ball too long. He's inaccurate with his passing. He requires a lot of time to process things, and he's completely relying on Ben Johnson to open guys wide open for him. So
haters
that's my take.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate, but that's my take. Back to the Cowboys real quick. Back to the Cowboys real quick.
Yeah, my team.
Your team.
I love the Cowboys.
Looking at the playoff picture in the NFC. Right now, the 7 seed, who is the San Francisco 49ers, are 9-4. Then you got the Lions sitting one game out at 7-5. Dallas is 6-5-1.
They're gonna just miss the playoffs. They'll just miss it.
Okay, well, let me ask you this: what do they have to do? Because I don't think they're eliminated yet.
No,
by any means. What do you think they would have to do in the last 5 games to get in the playoffs? Do they have to win out? Would 4-1 get them in?
4-1 would get them in.
You think 4-1, 10 wins gets them in?
I just don't think they're going to win. Yeah, I think they'll win 9 games.
I
don't think they're going to beat Detroit. I think they'll beat Minnesota. They'll lose to the Chargers. I just think they're going to lose to Detroit and LA.
Do you think they'll go 9-7-1?
Yeah, and that just misses.
We like to call that the Mike Tomlin special.
Yes. No, that would be 9-8-1.
Sorry, no, 8-8-1.
Oh yeah, 8-8-1.
8-1.
Yeah.
That would be the night Tomlin special, avoiding the losing season. Okay, just looking at a few of these other teams. Okay, question for you. Another question for you. Bigger concern for you.
Yep.
The Philadelphia Eagles,
right,
who lost on the day after Thanksgiving as a 7-point favorite to the Bears at home, have now dropped 2 straight, but still sit atop the division. Or the Lions, who have now lost 3 of their last 5, falling to 7-5, sitting outside of the playoff picture at the moment, following a home loss to the Packers on Thanksgiving. Who is in bigger trouble of those 2 teams at this moment?
Lions and Eagles?
Yeah.
Probably, let's see the Eagles' schedule here. Yeah, I mean, they got L.A., Vegas, Washington, Buffalo, Washington. The thing is, those Washington games for the Eagles, Daniels will be back.
Is he going to play?
I think he's going to come back, but I don't know.
That's a huge deal.
If I were them, I wouldn't bring him back.
I wouldn't either.
And even with Mariota, the way the Eagles are playing, one of those games
they could lose. They traditionally split that rivalry. Very, very often, that's a split.
I'll tell you this. The Cowboys have a better chance of making the playoffs by winning the division and beating the Eagles than they do passing the Lions.
Really? Well, they have to pass the Lions and the Niners.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just not going to happen. But the Eagles are 1 game behind, like with the tie, right? The Eagles are 8-4, and the Cowboys are 6-5-1.
Correct.
So it's a game and a half.
Game and a half, and they don't play again.
But the Eagles could. I mean, the way the Eagles are playing, they could go 2-3, right?
And then the Cowboys have to go 4-1. Yeah. So
they could. I'm just saying. I don't.
No, they could.
I just think that's more likely. I don't see them passing the Lions. I know that's crazy, but I just don't.
Well, I think it's very. Here's what I'll tell you.
Not the Lions and the 49ers.
Because if they beat the Lions this week, they do pass them, correct?
Right.
They'd have the same amount of losses.
Right.
But wait. No, they would still be a game behind them, half a game behind them, right? But they had the tiebreaker. Well, there is no tiebreaker because they have a tie because they have a tie on the record. That tie really hurts them. If they could have won that game, would have been a big deal for them.
Right. Now, it just to pass the Lions and the 49ers is going to be tough.
I agree with that, and I would say, and I'm looking at Philadelphia's schedule. I mean, the Raiders are the worst team in football. They're not losing that game.
They're not going to lose,
no matter what. They'll be a 17-point favorite. You look at I don't think the Chargers are all that great. It just depends on how healthy their defense is, and then you got 2 Commanders and the Bills. I think those are probably at worst 2-2. So to me, Yes, could they go 2-3? Yeah, because the Eagles are playing really poor football. I didn't think there was any way they were going to lose to the Bears at home, but they did.
Right.
That said, I would be shocked to see them go 2-3 or worse. I think more than likely it's going to be 3-2 or 4-1. But if they go 3-2, Dallas would then have to win out, correct? 5-0. They'd have to win out to win the division.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I don't think that's. I would put that at a less than 0% chance if they win this week. If they win this week against Detroit, and I know that's probably like what, 40%.
Yeah.
If they win this week at Detroit, I would say there's a 25% chance they win the last 4 games. I think that's fair. Both the two tougher games are at home, right? Vikings and Chargers are at home. Vikings have looked atrocious.
The Vikings are horrible.
So I don't think they're going to lose to the Vikings.
They're not going to lose to the Vikings.
And I think they have a very good chance they'll be favored against the Commanders and the Giants, even though they're on the road. So, they're going to be favored in 3 of those 4 games. The Chargers, they might be favored against the Chargers, to be honest. What do you think the line is? And I already looked at it. What do you think the line is, Dallas and Detroit in Detroit this week?
Detroit's favored by 3.5.
They're favored by 3, which means they're saying those two teams are equal on a neutral field right now. So, Dallas has got a shot, and I'm a pessimistic Cowboys fan. You know that. I don't know why. The way the defense is playing right now, it feels like they have a legitimate shot to win out. I don't know why I think they can. Now, mentally, they always implode at a point, and so that's can absolutely happen.
They'll find a way to lose at least one of these games.
I'm sure they will, but man, they added Quinnen Williams, and I didn't like the move because I didn't think we're a contender this year, but they added Quinnen Williams. He's made a huge difference in the run defense. They've given up less than 100 yards rushing per game since adding him, and then they got Demarion Overshown back, who was a 3rd-round pick a couple years ago out of Texas.
Yeah,
he looked like he was a steal of the draft and then tore his ACL. He's back. They got a Donovan Wilson, their safety, back. So they've picked up some key guys back from injuries. It's allowed them to not have to sit in zone and be predictable like they've been all season under Eberflus, and they've looked really, really good. I mean, the last couple games, there's no other way to put it. They're one of the hottest teams in the league the last couple
weeks. But
weeks.
we know what the Cowboys do. They look good for 3 weeks, and then they fall flat. I mean, they lose by 30 in Detroit. I mean, it's what they do.
Absolutely, they do. Okay, two more quick ones on the NFL, and we'll go to college football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers find a way to squeak one out this week against the Cardinals. The Bucs are now only 1 game, I believe, ahead of the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are 7-6. The Bucs are 7-5 because Carolina, which we'll touch on the Rams in a second, beat LA, who was the favorite to win the Super Bowl going into this week. And a lot of people thought they were the best team in the NFL. Right. And they beat as a 10-point underdog, won outright. Second time they've won as a double-digit underdog outright this year. Also went into Green Bay and won as a 13-point dog earlier this season. Do you think Tampa Bay, from what you've seen, will hold on to the division?
Yeah, because they play Carolina twice, so let's just say they split those. Then they have New Orleans.
Oh, their schedule's really
Atlanta,
easy.
And Miami. I mean, I just think that they're, say you split those games and they're going to go 2-1 in the others. I don't think that Carolina is going to win all their other games, right?
But I guess if the Panthers do win both the Bucs games,
if they win both the Bucs games, then sure. I just don't think they'll beat them twice.
Who do you think looks like the better team right now? Who would you if you're a playoff team, who would you rather play?
Oh, Carolina. Carolina. Yeah. I mean, they're a weird team. Like they beat. Not that Atlanta's good, right? But they beat them like 30-0 earlier at home, and then they just beat the Rams. The weather was kind of nasty in that game, and Stafford threw one really bad pick six that kind of flipped it. NFL, any given Sunday. But they're going to beat New Orleans. I expect them to beat Atlanta. Both those games are at home. I think they'll split with Carolina and beat Miami. I think ultimately the Bucs get in.
Yeah, I think you're probably right, and I agree. I would rather play Bryce Young than Baker Mayfield.
For sure.
But the last 4 weeks, if you ask me who's playing better football, I think it's 100% the Panthers.
Right.
Inconsistent, yes, but they've looked like the better team. I don't know what's happened to the Bucs the last couple weeks, but they just don't look like the same team they did early on. Even, and I'm not even talking about wins and losses. Like they won yesterday, but like I watched them early in the year in a couple of those games, and the offense just looked so fluid and good. I know they've had injuries, but they just haven't looked the same. All right, last question. The Rams do drop that game to Carolina. Obviously, it's just one blimp. Their remaining schedule at Arizona, home against the Lions, at the Seahawks, at the Falcons, versus the Cardinals. Will the Rams end up holding on and getting the number? They're in second right now. Will they get the number 1 seed in the NFC?
Probably just depends on what the tiebreaker is against Seattle.
because it's going to be between those two for the division, right?
Right.
They're both 9-3. Well, right now, if they
right
beat
now the
Seattle,
Rams have it because the Rams
if they beat Seattle's second game, they're very likely going to win the division.
For sure. But I actually expect Seattle to win that game just because it's at home. And
right.
Seattle's playing well.
Right.
So I think it just becomes I think they'll end up with the same record at the end of the year.
That's crazy. San Francisco's one game out of first place in that division too.
Yeah, I think both the Rams and the Seahawks will finish 13-4.
Do you think the Niners get into like the last wild card spot then?
Yeah.
Who gets left out if you're looking at the playoffs? I know I'm going off to another question real quick, but if you look at the playoffs right now, the standings, if you look at the wild card and the NFC, you've got the 5 seed as the Seattle Seahawks, the 6 seed as the Green Bay Packers, the 7 seed as the Niners, and the 8 seed as the Lions. So take everybody below that out and say the Cowboys and everybody else don't make it. Who gets one of those teams is going to get left out? You think the Lions get left out? Yeah. I agree.
They play at the Rams next week. I don't think they'll win that game. The Rams
2 weeks from now, right?
Yeah,
because they got Cowboys. Dallas. If they lose to Dallas, they're out for sure. They have to beat Dallas, I think.
Right.
And then they're probably going to have to beat the Rams too. That's crazy, man. I mean, it's like you have. I thought the Lions looked like the best team in football 4 weeks ago, and now I don't know. Jared Goff, his lack of mobility is really showing now that their offensive line isn't as good. And I know Gibbs is phenomenal, but Amon-Ra went down with an injury last week. I just don't know. I don't know about the Lions. I hope they find a way to get in, but they have disappointed largely this season. Okay, let's go to college football. Crazy kind of week here. We had a lot of teams hang on and survive. We had Alabama in the Iron Bowl tied with Auburn late. I got to give it to Kalen DeBoer. I don't know if you saw the end of that game, but it was 4th down and 2 at the 5-yard line, roughly, with 3.5 minutes to go, and it was 20-20, and DeBoer went for it on 4th down. He decided to go for it on 4th down instead of just kick the field goal and take the 3-point lead.
Oh, that was 4th? I didn't realize it.
4th down and 2 from the 3 or from the 5-yard line, or 4th and 3, and they scored on the play. And I will tell you, he doesn't show a lot of emotion on the sideline positively. He's usually either yelling at the officials or not really saying much. They showed him on the sideline after that catch, and it was the biggest sigh of relief I've ever seen a coach take on the sideline of a college football team. I mean, because I'm telling you, if they do not get that, if he goes for that there, and they don't get it, and Auburn drives down the field and kicks a field goal to win the game, his head is on a spike on Sunday morning in Tuscaloosa. I mean, I think losing his job would be the least of his worries. Legend calling in would be the least of his worries. He would be legitimately murdered in Tuscaloosa if they go for that and don't get it. The balls on him to go for that 4th down and 2 and convert was fucking impressive. I got to hand it to him.
I think it's smart going for it because I watched that second half. If you watch the second half, Auburn was a better team. Alabama jumped out to a 10-0 lead. Then Auburn tried it, but they were a better team. So he's thinking, I'm not kicking a field goal and letting them go down and win the game.
Yep.
If I don't get it, they're backed up on their own 5-yard line. You know what I mean? And so I do agree with going for it in that situation. And it paid off for him. Auburn was going to go in and score, and the guy fumbled. So, I mean, they were moving the ball. He just fumbled the ball.
They were going to score a touchdown.
It sure looked like they would have gone for 2.
They would have gone for 2. And I thought it was going to come down to one play. Cam Coleman fumbled on the left sideline, and he was phenomenal all game long, but
can't fumble the ball.
Can't fumble the ball there. And what's weird is there was only 40 seconds to go, and I believe Auburn was out of timeouts, and he could have just run out of bounds, and he tried to fight for extra. He cut it back inside to fight for extra yards, and that's when the ball got punched out. He should have just run out of bounds. Regardless, they escape, right?
Yep.
They escape. Then we had Oklahoma, who trailed the majority of the fourth quarter. They trailed with 5 minutes to go. LSU's defense played so good all game. Mateer threw 3 interceptions, and then they bust a coverage on the final drive for Oklahoma. OU scores.
Didn't see any of that, but I saw that Oklahoma was struggling with LSU.
They should have lost. Oklahoma's the worst team, going to be the worst team in the playoff. That's an at-large team, right? They are horrific offensively. And I'm going to talk about them in a second when I come back to the playoffs, because I want to talk playoffs. I want to talk seeding. I want to talk who gets in, who gets left out. Just want to recap really quickly. Obviously, Texas, we mentioned, upsets, small upset, but upsets Texas A&M as a 3-point underdog, knocks them out. That's going to cost them likely a first-round bye. They missed the SEC championship game again. That brought so much joy to my life to that weekend, just watching them not get to play for an SEC title, watching all of my beliefs that A&M was fraudulent all season come true, losing to the worst version of Texas in a half decade versus the best version of A&M ever was awesome. Marcel Reed's last 2 passes were interceptions. It was fitting that Michael Taft, the walk-on turned All-American safety, picked him off on the second to last drive of the game to kind of seal it. But Texas, we're going to come back to them in a second. But again, all these teams, BYU was down 14-0 to UCF, comes back and wins 41-21. They're on the outside looking in. Miami, number 12 in the country, they were on the outside looking in. They win 38-7. Vanderbilt's on the outside looking in, absolutely embarrasses their rivals, and I'm sure Bailey was loving every second of it. 45-24, killed Tennessee in Knoxville. Tennessee fans were livid. I'm sure they were ready to jump off a building. I love it. We saw the only real team to falter besides A&M this week was number 21 SMU. They controlled their own destiny to get to the ACC championship game. We talked about it last week. If they won, they were in. They were a 15.5-point favorite or 13.5-point favorite against Cal on the road, who, by the way, upset Louisville a couple weeks ago as an 18.5-point underdog. They did it again. SMU was down. I believe SMU was down 17 and scored 21 unanswered to take a 3-point lead or a 4-point lead. Cal answered and scored with like 45 seconds to go, and SMU missed a game-tying field goal as time expired. Cal knocks SMU out, which means Duke is headed to the ACC championship game, which is crazy. 7-5 Duke heading to the ACC title. I want to talk about all that. I want to talk about the conference championships. I want to talk about all the playoff seedings. We're going to do all of that right now. Before we do all that, I got to get into one more thing, and you know what that is. That's your boy, Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin accepts the job at LSU. He's leaving Ole Miss high and dry, 11-1, likely hosting a playoff game.
Yep.
After all the work he did, rebuilding his image, rebuilding his career, going to Ole Miss, taking them from nothing to a playoff caliber team, and he throws it all away for LSU. Now I'll say one thing, and I want to throw it to you and get your take. Lane, look, I hate that he did this, right? I hate that he did this.
You and me are going to have the same take on this,
probably. Right. I hate that he did this. And I'm not, it's going to be hard for me to root for him because if it were me.
Oh, I'm going to want him to lose for sure.
Yeah.
But I understand why he did it.
Yeah. If it were me in that position, I'm staying 100 out of 100 times. I'm never leaving my team like that, ever. However, couple things. Number one, we live in a world of college football where there is no loyalty. The players do the exact same thing. They can leave at any point. We saw, and I know this is a little different, but last year, Penn State's number 3 in the country, they're in the playoff, and the backup quarterback, Bo Pribula, he leaves to go because he has an opportunity to go play at Missouri. He leaves the team before the playoffs and doesn't even play in the playoffs, right? Now, backup quarterback, a little bit different, right? But we see this with players all the time. We see players play 3 games at the beginning of the season. They realize they can redshirt if they don't play 4 games, and they leave the program before so that they can save a year of eligibility, and they leave everybody high and dry. It's what this system has created, and that's my issue with this. Blame Lane Kiffin all you want, and I think he deserves some of the blame, but here's the fact of the matter. LSU is a top 5 job in college football, right? I would say Georgia, Alabama, Texas, that's
Ohio
it.
State.
Ohio State. That's it. Those 4. And I would say number 5 is LSU. Okay? None of those jobs are coming open in the next 5 years, more than likely. The only one that could possibly come open is Texas, and it's unlikely. LSU has all the resources of a top 10, top 5 school. He's going to be able to pay his players whatever he wants. You told me they pledged to pay $30 million to players next year. He's going to bring in whatever staff he wants, pay him whatever he wants. That's probably the best home field advantage in all of college football, right?
It is. Yeah.
You have all of these factors, and you can blame Lane all you want, and I do blame Lane, but I blame the system more. The fact that we, in today's college football era, have a system where the college football coaches are leaving their fucking programs in the middle of the college football playoff, where a team who is competing for a national championship has to choose between having their coach the rest of the playoffs and have a chance at a national championship, right? Or telling him to get lost because he's leaving them. Lane Kiffin's having to choose, do I want to take my dream job that I would give up anything for, but in return, I won't be able to coach my team who is going to the playoff and has a legitimate shot to win a national title. Say whatever you want. It's wide open this year. The only team Ole Miss lost to this year was Georgia on the road. They lost by 1 score, and they led by 9 in the fourth quarter in that game. They are a legitimate title contender. And he has to leave. He has to make that decision because he can't wait till the end of the year. That job will close. If he can't, he has no other option. And so he's put in a position where it's choose one or the other. They need to fix this. This has to be changed. We're not just seeing it with Lane. We're just seeing these smaller schools say they don't care, right? John Summerall from Tulane, right, got hired by Florida. We saw the James Madison coach just took the UCLA job, correct?
Yep.
We saw Eric Morris in North Texas got Oklahoma State. All 3 of those guys in the same situation. They're all potential playoff teams in the group of 5, and they're hired by big schools before the season's even over, before the conference championships even played. We don't even know what the playoffs are yet. And there's a legitimate possibility that 2 of those coaches are playing in the playoff this year. At least one for sure will be, but whoever it is, they're staying because the little schools let them. But if you're Ole Miss, I thought about this, and I thought first I was like, you know what, if you're Ole Miss, let Lane Kiffin coach. Let him coach.
Yeah, you just
Why not?
can't.
But here's the thing. If they win
transfer portal,
if they win a national title, every recruit in the country, including every player at Ole Miss, what are they doing? They're going to go follow him to LSU, right? They're going to go follow him to LSU. So it's just, you can't do it. There's no option. You're screwed. Lane's screwed. The school's screwed. And it's a product of a broken system. That's what the problem is. It's not Lane Kiffin's fault. Yes, he's an unloyal prick. Yes, he's a great football coach, but the fact of the matter is it's a broken system. That's the problem, and until it's fixed, we're going to see this shit happen over and over and over, and it's bullshit. We shouldn't be subjected to this.
I mean, you touched on pretty much all of it. I'll say this. I mean, I genuinely think that he left, and some people call me an idiot for saying this. I really think he left more. I do think he's changed somewhat. The reason I think he left is not because of his salary. He's going to make a little bit more money. He's got plenty of money. It's the simple fact that if Ole Miss told him, hey, we'll give you $30 million to build a roster, he'd be like, okay, perfect, I'm staying here. If he had $30 million at Ole Miss, he would have stayed, in my opinion.
He would have.
I don't think he's going to
No,
LSU.
I think he would have as well.
Even if he's making a couple million less, most people think he's just a money-hungry whore.
I don't think so.
He used to be. I don't necessarily think he is that way. I think it was a hard decision for him. I really do. I do think it was mainly the fact that it's like, oh, I get to go to, like you said, LSU, which is a top 5 program in the country, best home field advantage, and I get $30 million to build my roster. Like, I don't know what the Ole Miss budget was this year, but my guess is about 10.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 15.
10 to 15. LSU spent $18 million apparently this year. That was their budget. He's going to get 30.
Yeah.
So if you get 30 at LSU, I mean,
you're going to compete with Texas, Ohio State,
right?
All those schools.
Compete with everybody.
They've won national titles at that university in the past. Now you're at a top 5 university.
I think ultimately he'll win a national title there. I just think LSU. I mean, you can build a really, really good team for $30 million. That's the top dollar for everybody else. He did a fantastic job at Ole Miss with the resources, that he had. But six years there, and he's had like 3 or 4 10-win seasons or whatever it was. He did a good job. I think ultimately he would have stayed if he had that amount of resources. I don't know. A lot of people will disagree with that and just say he's a money-hungry whore, which, he certainly could be as well.
I don't think he is.
I just think LSU at this point, I think he probably wanted to stay at Ole Miss. But when you have $15 extra million to build a roster in this day and age in college football where there's no loyalty, I would say that Lane was much more loyal to Ole Miss than I thought he would be, being there 6 years. I mean, he could have taken other jobs, I'm sure, at different times. So, I don't know. It sucks. Like you said, the disappointing part is like Rick Pitino tweeted is like, why do they fucking do this in college football? I don't think he paid attention to it until like the Lane Kiffin saga where he's like, this would be like telling me, do I want to coach St. John's or go take like the Duke job? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense.
Before the tournament started. It
makes zero sense.
It makes
they
no
have
sense.
to figure it out. I don't know what the right or wrong answer is and what they would have to do.
I can tell you one thing that they could do, and I don't know how much this would help, but it feels like one of the issues with what is going on and why the system is like this is the
portal opens what? Like the academic calendar and the portal, whatever.
Matching up with it. But here's the thing. How much time do we take off between the end of the season and the playoffs? We could A, move the season up a week. We could B, keep the season where it is and or move it up a week and just have the playoffs start a week after the conference championships. I don't think that happens, right? I believe there's like 2 weeks off and there's bowl games and stuff, and they don't start until later, or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they don't start till a little bit later, like a couple weeks or something like that. I'm not entirely sure.
The first round of the college football playoffs is December 19th and December 20th. So we're taking off 2 weeks. So you move it up a week, and you just do it every weekend, and then you get the national championship done in 4 weeks. So you're done in like January 2nd. Most universities don't start till like the 15th or 16th of January. There's plenty of time.
Right. You could also even move up the start of the season a week or two.
That's what I'm saying.
Start it in the middle of August.
That's what I'm saying.
Take one week, one less week off, in between the conference championships and the playoffs. But
there are fixes.
There are fixes. They gotta figure out.
And not to mention,
something.
we're taking weeks off. It's not like these guys are in the NFL where they're playing 17 of 18 weeks. All the teams have 2 buys built in throughout the years already, and then anybody who's not playing in a conference championship game has a bye between then and in the playoffs anyway. So they're taking 3 weeks off. So there's so many ways to fix this and improve this system where we just got to stop having coaches getting hired and fired, or at least hired, after or before the college football playoff starts. It's got to happen.
Yeah.
We just got to stop doing this. It's ridiculous. It sucks. I really was looking forward to watching Ole Miss play in the playoff under Kiffin. I thought they had a legit chance to make a run at a title. I'm not saying they would have won it. I'm not saying they're a favorite, but they were alive.
Shit, they could still win some games without Kiffin. Who knows?
They absolutely couldn't. I don't know how many guys ended up leaving the staff, but that's another factor, right? Guys.
Well, at least the defense has been good all year, and the defense coordinator's taken over as head coach. So.
Yeah. All right, one other thing I want to bring up, too, about this Lane Kiffin situation. You mentioned this to me yesterday. Bailey brought up a good point. He sent us an article just now I was looking at. Apparently, and you said this, Lane Kiffin said something along the lines of, to his staff members, if you don't get on the plane with me, just stay because you're not getting hired at LSU, right? Something along those lines. Well, the article I read that Bailey just sent me was saying that apparently this was well known, and as an assistant coach for a long time in basketball, the assistants talk to the players. And so I guarantee you this came out to the players by the assistant coaches. The players were going up to Lane Kiffin and confronting him about it, saying, how can you tell them that and try to take our whole coaching staff away from us when you're leaving to LSU? Right. And he's like, I'm not making them go. And apparently there was a lot of discontent with the players in the situation. And I will say this, it was a lost cause anyway, like him wanting to coach for the playoffs, because I actually think now, reading that they're better off with the defensive coordinator. They might play harder than they would have.
Sure.
And that doesn't mean they're losing his play calling offensively. That might be too much to overcome, but it's still,
maybe. I mean, they're gonna be running the same offense. They know what he's really been calling most of the year.
Did the OC stay?
No, I think he left with them, but the quarterback coach stayed or something.
Is he going to call the plays, I guess?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my buddy told me that went to Ole Miss. I was talking to him earlier that it's, what's his name? The old Giants coach, Joe Judge or something.
No way.
Something weird. Yeah, I think that's his name. He's on the staff. I don't know if he stayed or went.
I'm just looking up real quick if it says who the OC. It says, yeah, Charlie Weiss Jr. is going with Lane Kiffin. He was the offensive coordinator. Pete Golding, the DC, was promoted to head coach. And I don't see anything else about
who else it is.
Okay. That's a crazy scenario. It's wild that's what's going on. It just shows, but again, it shows the overall state of college football and where we're at, right? No loyalty, crazy Wild West transfer portal, and it's not just for players, it's for coaches too. It's a shit show in college football right now, and it's the same reason I don't think we're going to get a cohesive set of standards for a college football playoff going forward, even with expansion, because we can't even fix coaches leaving in the middle of the playoffs or players committing to 2 different places and monitoring how much money is being paid. Like, it's just too... This is a broken sport. It got broken the second money came into the equation legally, and I don't know how it's fixed. It's going to be a long process, and it might not be fixable. I don't know. But let's talk real quickly. Last thing. I want to talk about the college football playoff. We mentioned kind of some of the outcomes this week. We have some conference championships this weekend.
Right.
So let's look real quickly. I'm going to pull up the college football playoff rankings. And keep in mind, the new rankings will come out tomorrow. We're shooting this on a Monday night. They come out on Tuesday. So these will obviously change somewhat. But we'll look. These were them going into this week before all the games were played. So obviously we had Ohio State, Indiana, number 1 and 2. So we'll start there. Okay. So let's do this. Sorry, I'm gonna kind of go all over the place the way my mind works here. Let's talk about locks for the playoff right now. Who's in for sure? Okay. Ohio State,
lock.
Indiana,
lock.
Texas A&M,
lock.
Georgia,
lock.
Texas Tech,
Lock.
Oregon, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Well, okay, we'll say Ole Miss
is a lock.
Okay,
sure.
we'll say for lock like 100%. We'll stop at Ole Miss right there. Okay, just for sake of argument, right? Probably there's a few more, but let's stop there. So we got 7 locks. We know that the Big Ten champion's going to come from here, right?
And I still don't think either of those teams will drop out of the top 4.
So that was gonna be my question. I believe, in my opinion, I don't think so. Ohio State and Indiana will play in the Big Ten championship game, barring one of those teams losing by 20 plus points, which very unlikely to happen. I believe the winner of that game will be the number 1 overall seed. I believe the loser of that game will actually be either the 2 or the 3. And I think it is dependent on what happens in the SEC title. I believe if Georgia wins the SEC championship and beats Bama, they'll go to 2, and the loser of that will be 3. If Georgia loses to Bama, then I think they'll stay 1-2. I think they'll flip flop if Indiana wins.
Right.
If Indiana loses, then it'll stay 1-2. That's the only team. Georgia, in my opinion, is the only team who could jump them. Now, interesting here. What we're gonna see here. Texas Tech right now, I would say probably will, on these new rankings, will be number 4.
Right. All they have to do is win against BYU, and they
Do you think they for sure get a bye no matter what over all of those teams? You think that's 100%
over Oregon and Ole Miss
and A&M with 1 loss? Because if you think about it, and I agree, I would put Tech over A&M. But if you think about it, A&M's got a better win than Tech. A&M played in the SEC. A&M has 1 loss to their rival Texas on the road the last game of the season. Theoretically, they probably should still get a bye. And I hate A&M more than anybody. I think Tech will get the bye. I think Tech will get the bye.
Yeah, they could end up having, I don't know, when the rankings come out, they could have Texas A&M
tomorrow.
At 4. I don't think they will, though. I think they'll move Texas A&M back to 5. And then they'll move Texas A&M to 5.
They like Oregon. I could even see 6.
Yeah, could be because their only loss is to Indiana.
Yeah.
But Texas A&M has better wins. I mean, that's the argument for even having them ahead of Texas Tech. But I'm just saying,
I would drop A&M. In my opinion, I would drop A&M to 7 because to me, Ole Miss at Georgia is their only loss. Oregon's only loss is Indiana. A&M's loss is to Texas. A&M's best win, to me, Notre Dame early in the year on a 1-by-1. Right. I don't know. If it were me, just based on what we saw, the question all year is A&M for real or are they fraudulent because they've played nobody since they played Notre Dame and then they play 1 ranked team and they lose by double digits, right? And they led in that game at halftime by 7, and Texas is not a normal Texas team. They're not that great this year. So I don't know. I think you're probably right. A&M will probably be 5. I think I could see them going to 6. But, okay, so we have 7 locks. So now, here's where the debate comes in. I would say more than likely – okay, wait, sorry. Before I go any further, we know that of those top 7, we're going to get those are all Big Ten, SEC, and let's just say for sake of argument, Tech is going to win the Big 12 championship game. Okay, so then we have then 2 more bids that have to be taken away from conference champions. It's the top 5 conference champs, right? So we've got Miami sitting at 12. They're the highest ranked ACC team. However, they're not playing in the ACC title game. That title game is going to be Virginia versus Duke. Now, here's where it gets real interesting. The college football playoff rules state it's the top 5 ranked conference champions in the college football playoff ranking. It is not the Power 4 plus 1. Why I say that is Duke is 7-5. Even if they beat Virginia this week, they will not be ranked higher than James Madison, who's likely going to win the Sun Belt. They will not be ranked higher than the winner of North Texas and Tulane, who will be the winner of the American. If Duke wins the ACC and James Madison wins their conference championship game, do you think it's fair to say that we see 2 group of 5 teams in the playoff?
100%. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any other debate on it. I mean, those are the rules. So
right. Okay, so let's say we've got 2 of those spots gone. So now we're down to we're up to 9 teams in, and there's 3 spots left. The 3 spots left, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama. BYU sitting there 10-1. Miami's 9-2. Utah's 9-2. Vandy's 9-2. And Texas is 9-3. Do we think, no matter what, do you think that the 3 teams of those 3 spots left are going to be Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Alabama?
No, I think you're going to see it's going to be very interesting. If you see Alabama lose to Georgia by more than 1 score, they might end up leaving them out.
Who would they put in?
Miami.
So they put in. You think Miami gets in over Vandy and Texas? I think Utah's out. I think Utah's done.
Utah's done.
Utah's going to get jumped by Texas and Vandy this week.
BYU being 11 will have to beat Texas Tech to get in. They will, SMU, I believe, lost as the 8th seed, right? But held on to stay in the
right.
But with BYU being 11, I think they get taken out with a loss to Tech. It just goes back to the debate. Are you going to penalize people for playing in the SEC championship game, right? Or the Big 12 championship game? And do I think Vandy would beat the shit out of BYU? Of course I do. But I just don't know what the committee is going to do in a situation where BYU has 2 losses and both of them are to number 4 Texas Tech, and one of them was in a conference championship game. You know what I mean? I think they kind of fucked themselves putting BYU ahead of Miami and Vanderbilt, because it's like, I hope it's going to be interesting. I think you might see with Miami and Vanderbilt getting those ranked wins, right? And BYU barely, was down.
They blew them out, but they wasn't a blowout.
Right, wasn't a blowout. So you might see Miami jump BYU, and I think the committee is going to do that. I think you're going to see Miami jump BYU because they want to be,
They want to have the control to do what they want.
Correct.
They should have Vandy, Texas, and Miami jump BYU. I don't think that will happen, but they should.
Yeah.
But here's the issue. I'm looking at this, and I guess I didn't realize the math of it. I was off by 1, I guess.
Yeah.
Because 7 teams are in, right? We take the 2 conference champs, and there's only 3 spots left, and theoretically, Oklahoma and Notre Dame are both in. So there's 1 spot left.
Right. Yeah. I did the math wrong, too. I kept thinking there was 2 spots left.
Right.
Just 1.
Even if Bama, if Bama wins that game, right? Now BYU's out for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Even with a close loss, Miami's out for sure. The ACC could get nobody in. If Virginia loses that game, they could get nobody in. And what's bullshit about this whole thing, and you can argue against this. I'm gonna say 2 things. Okay? I'm gonna go back to Notre Dame here. Notre Dame does not deserve to be in the college football playoff. Okay? If you want to go by what the best teams look like or how they're playing, then absolutely they deserve to be in. They look like a top 10 team. They look like a top 7 team. They've played fucking nobody, right? They had 2 challenging games all season. They lost them both. Okay? They don't have to play in a conference championship like everybody else. They don't have to play a grueling schedule like everybody else. They get to throw Navy on their schedule whenever they want. It's bullshit.
Why do you disrespect Navy like that?
No,
dude?
It's complete.
They're ranked 25.
It's complete bullshit, man.
23.
They take a spot away from a deserving team. It is just ridiculous, and it has to be fixed. It's worse. It's worse than the fucking coaching, hiring coaches midway through the playoff. Notre Dame gets away with doing whatever the fuck they want. There's no rules, and they take away a spot. They are held to no standard. They can schedule whoever the fuck they want. It's complete fucking garbage. Okay? Join a conference or don't play in the college football playoff. That's how I feel about it. I'm so tired of this. They should not be allowed to be in at 10-2, playing fucking nobody and not being in a conference. They're going to steal a spot from somebody else. I'll go number 1. Number 2, let's go to Oklahoma and the Texas debate here. Okay? Texas is going to get left out. It's 100% looking at the math of this. There's no possible way they get in. And 100% now, you are saying they are penalized for losing to Ohio State. They're penalized for losing game 1 to Ohio State by 7 in a game where they outgained them by 133 yards. That's absurd. If Texas has 10 losses, they're number 8 right now. They're above Oklahoma. They beat Oklahoma by 20 points on a neutral field. And the only difference between those 2 teams is that Texas played Ohio State early in the year on the road, and Oklahoma played fucking bum-ass Michigan, who Ohio State just demolished in Ann Arbor, right, and beat them at home. If Texas plays Michigan in that game, or Texas plays Baylor, whoever the fuck in that game, they're 10-2. We're like Steve Sarkisian said in his press conference. If we're 10-2, we're not even having this discussion. We're in the playoff. So you're penalizing the team, like we've said, which you agree shouldn't happen. So Texas is penalized. So you're essentially going to now render the games completely meaningless in the beginning of the season, which, by the way, they pick and choose what matter, because we're saying the Texas loss to Ohio State matters because they have 3 losses. But Notre Dame lost 2 games early to Miami and A&M. Those don't matter because they were early in the year and they're the good teams. Oh, it doesn't matter. Why? Why do we pick and choose? Why do those games not matter for Notre Dame, who played fucking nobody, but it matters for Texas, who played Ohio State and lost by 7 and was the better team for 3 quarters?
You know what's
Doesn't
interesting?
make any sense. Hold on. One last thing. If we don't expand the playoff, I believe all these Power 4 teams should cancel their non-conference schedules. Do what Indiana did. Just play fucking Kennesaw State and Indiana State, and because I'll go one more further, right? I'm gonna bring up Texas Tech. Played fucking nobody in the conference, and they deserve to be in the playoff. Vanderbilt's in the fucking SEC. They have 2 fucking losses. They're going to get left out of the playoff. It's ridiculous. Their losses are on the road to Alabama, and if you actually watch college football and you watch the games, you know that score wasn't close to indicative of how that game went. It was a 1-score game late in the game, and Vandy led 14-7 with a minute to go in the second quarter. A horrific call on a fumble that was not a fumble, that they ruled a fumble on Pavia, flipped the whole game. They very well could have beat Bama. They lost to Texas by 3 on the road. Their 2 losses are to Texas and Alabama on the road. And we're leaving out of the college football playoff for fucking Notre Dame, who doesn't play anybody, right? For fucking Texas Tech and BYU, who don't play anybody. They need to fix this, and I agree. We need a Big Ten, SEC, whatever, Big 12, Big Ten challenge. But this is, I'm changing my tune. Just expand at this point, because it's complete and utter bullshit that the team, Texas and Vanderbilt, are better than Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama. Their resumes are better. Their resumes are better than all of those teams. Texas and Vanderbilt have better resumes than Notre Dame, than Oklahoma, than Alabama, than BYU, than Miami. And they're both going to get left out. It's bullshit. You want to go by what it looks like? Then we're just picking and choosing. This year, it's what it looks like. Last year, it's what was most deserving. This year, it's who has the best record. We just fucking pick and choose. There's no fucking standard. There's no fucking rules. We do whatever we want. We put in whoever we want. This time of year, we're just going to rank BYU 11 because we feel like it. We're just going to rank Miami 12, and Notre Dame's 9 because they're playing good. They lost early in the year, so it's okay. It's garbage. That's my rant for the day. It's disgusting. Texas gets left out because they played Ohio State. Vandy gets left out with 2 losses in the SEC. We already know this is going to happen. We're going to get shitty teams that don't deserve to be in, that did not earn their way into the playoff, get in because there's no fucking rules. Go ahead. Give your
Vandy. The Vandy one's stupid too, because like me and Bailey were talking about, the only reason Vandy's not in is because they started outside
preseason ranking.
Yeah, preseason ranking.
Complete bullshit.
I think everybody agrees it's watching Vanderbilt play right now that they deserve to be in. They're playing good football.
Beat the living shit out of Tennessee on the road.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think ultimately they get screwed. Like I told you, they are going to expand it. They have to expand it at this point. And there's going to – I think you have to go to that system where maybe there's only 2 at-large bids, whatever, per conference, where, you know, everybody gets a little piece of the pie, and then everybody else, it's just at large, and your resume matters. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, they can't even figure out the recruiting, so how do we think they're going to get that done? Here's an interesting tidbit for you. I heard Josh Pate talk about this the other day. So
I like Josh Pate, by the way.
Yeah, so Notre Dame right there in Miami. So he said that he talked to several people in the committee, and a lot of people don't know this. I actually didn't know this. He said teams, like, you know, there's so many 2-loss teams that they're graded in clusters. Well, Miami, FPI or whatever they call it in college football, was not in the same cluster as Notre Dame. So with this win at Pitt, he was like, it's going to be very interesting that if they are in the same cluster now and, you know, it gets their metrics to them, well, then head-to-head is a huge part of that, he said. So then it's like, you could ultimately, I don't think it's going to happen, but if the committee puts Miami in front of BYU, right, and then you have, you know, Alabama there at 10, who are they going to jump them if Alabama loses to Georgia? And Alabama already beat Georgia, right? So it's like, I can't imagine the committee leaving them out for losing to Georgia, but maybe they do. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I just don't know how you reward Miami. And you can have the debate, like, listen, I think head-to-head matters. I think we can all agree that I think if Notre Dame played Miami, now I know Miami looked good against Pitt. I think Notre Dame would beat them. But they didn't. But they played head-to-head.
Exactly, they
didn't. They played at the beginning of the year. Miami beat them.
Right.
And that should matter for something. I 100% agree with that. No doubt about it. Oklahoma, unfortunately, they have them at 8, and they've kind of screwed themselves with that. The problem with that is they did win on the road at Alabama somehow, and that's, they get rewarded for that. I don't think anybody thinks they're going to win a playoff game, but they get rewarded for that win. Should have lost to LSU this week, found a way to win that game. It's going to be really interesting where they put Miami tomorrow with these rankings, right? Are they going to put them, if they get into that same cluster with Notre Dame? Because, listen, Notre Dame and Miami are both idle, right? So going into the championship
we know Notre Dame's idle because they don't fucking play in a conference. They're idle every fucking week.
Yep. Jesus' team. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I assume they're going to have Notre Dame in front of them still, and people are going to lose their minds. But it's going to be. Listen, the one thing I will say is this: Jeremiah always brings it up. I don't know what year it was with Lou Holtz. I think 90-something. They played Florida State. They beat Florida State head-to-head and lost the national championship on the vote. They had Florida State win the national championship. So. It's happened against them before, too. Their brand these days gets them in. But listen, unfortunately for the rest of the country, the eye test with them, they've been really good. They're playing horrible teams, but they're beating the absolute wheels
Indiana
off everybody.
Looks great against Indiana State, too. Anybody looks good against the blind and the deaf schools they play. Yeah, if Notre Dame better not fucking host a game. If they move up and host a game, it'd be a fucking joke.
They won't host. They'll be on the road.
It'd be a fucking joke.
They'll be on the road. Wow. Oklahoma's hit.
They're gonna get to play. They're gonna get a lot, like they always do. They're gonna get to play fucking Oklahoma week in the first. Oklahoma's the worst team in the playoff. They're by far the worst. They should have lost last week to LSU. I just wish Oklahoma would have blown that, and I wish Bama would have blown it, so we could have seen what the committee would have done. Because
everything's going to get shaken up if Alabama wins, though, because in Georgia's
still in if they lose.
Oh, 100%. I'm just talking about seeding. I'm talking about seeding.
Seeding. If Bama wins, there's no question. The teams are decided if Bama wins.
Oh, no. I'm just saying as far as seeding, who plays where. Like, Oklahoma will get bumped down to the 9 line, and Notre Dame will be the last team in at that point. You know what I mean? But then if you have Notre Dame as the last team in and Miami on the next line, it's like, okay, how do you leave Miami out? They beat Notre Dame. So
I'll tell you this right now. We can close with this. Going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It's really not going to be that dramatic because I think we've already, at the committee, we're going to know tomorrow, but we kind of already know now what the committee is going to do. I'll tell you right now what's going to happen. And this is before the conference championship games are even played. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Georgia, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Oregon, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, and then you're going to get Virginia from the ACC, and you're going to get the winner of North Texas, Tulane, which I believe will be North Texas. Those are going to be the 12 teams. I don't think it's even going to be debatable. That's going to be what happens. I hope to fucking God I'm wrong.
What if Alabama loses Georgia? Doesn't matter. They stay there.
I think they'd have to lose by double digits. They just haven't penalized them. And I guess the question, the only reason I say that is if it was anybody else, if it was any other team and they lost to Georgia, I would say they probably would take them out. But because it's Alabama,
I would say the only issue with it, too, is they beat Georgia when they played at Georgia.
Right.
So it's like, okay, then they lose the conference championship game. Are we really going to take them out after they already beat Georgia on the road?
Right.
I know they have 2 losses, but I think the only way you could see that happening is if they move Miami up 1 spot to put them right behind Alabama.
That's what I think they will do.
And then, which I do think as well, and then Alabama loses, say they lose by like 14, then they're like, okay, we're going to put Miami in. DeBoer's going to get run out of town, but then we don't have to make that Miami-Notre Dame decision. They're both in the playoffs.
That's very possible, and I don't think so, though.
I think they're going to keep A&M. I think they'll keep Alabama in.
I think that game is going to probably be close because I don't think either team is that far better.
I don't think either team can blow each other out. So.
But I'll leave you with this, and we'll get out of here. If you want to lock the century, I've given you a couple bet your baby bets this year. I've done pretty damn good. I think I'm like 65%. I've hit like, I want to say like 9 of my last 14. If you want to lock of the century this week, you put all your money in your bank account on Virginia minus 3.5. because the way plays out, if Alabama wins or if Alabama loses a close game, Miami's going to get left out, which means if Duke wins, the ACC does not get a team in. Virginia is going to get every single call in the ACC championship game. They are going to get every single call, every benefit of the doubt, every review, every hold is going to go their way. There is no benefit, zero benefit to the ACC
having Duke
Duke win that game.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you right now,
point.
You put my lock of the century is Virginia minus the 3.5. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns. I don't think they're 2 touchdowns better than Duke. I think Duke will probably come ready to play. Teams like that who don't belong there and end up getting there usually play well.
They did end up beating Duke in the regular season at Duke 34-17. So the ACC can, give them all the home cooking calls.
I'm telling you, if I were, I will be betting a large amount on Virginia tonight.
That's funny.
Take Virginia minus the 3.5. That's my bet your baby bet. Lock of the century. Bet your mortgage. Bet your house. Bet your baby. Virginia minus the 3.5. All right. That's all I got for you guys here. It's all we got for you here at the Slobberknocker Sports Network. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, breaking down all the college football playoffs. We didn't get to our picks, but I'll post them. Maybe I'll post our picks on the website. We've been hot lately, so try to keep them going for you guys on our conference championships.
Lately. I think I've lost about.
No, I don't think you've been. No, that's not true.
Well, my underdogs have been doing okay on the spread.
Yeah, I've been covering the spread. Well, your totals are you're up on the season on your totals pretty good.
Okay, well that's good. It's good to know.
But yeah, and hopefully I can win our pick'em coming down to the last week.
Yep, coming down.
You got a chance to get in the top
you versus
3.
Nate Dogg in the last
and
week.
You're 1 pick behind out of third, aren't you? You're in 4th?
I'm 1 behind.
You got a chance to get in the third.
Got a chance to get third.
Yeah. All right. Well, got a bunch of conference championship games this week. Hope you guys enjoy them. Enjoy the NFL. And my Dallas Cowboys play Thursday night, so that'll be a good matchup. Hopefully, I'll get this out tonight on Monday, and we'll be able to get it out for all of our watchers out there. But thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.